Hello BD. So this is a Bootcamp Reboot that we're launching next week, so the start of November. We're making the boot class simpler for people to join into, so it kind of peaked in October with some quite complex exercises, and we're taking it right the way back down now, so it's open to anyone who wants to try training with the clubs. We have a whole mix of clubs, from these little mini meals up through to our own clubs. If you don't know about these, this is a club that we've designed with Pete. When we sell these, all the profits go actually into replanting and a charity that supports 3 schools out in India to help kids develop out there. Then you've got your basic Persian meal, which when you've developed a good base of strength, that's the kind of weight, 3 to 4 kilos is what you're looking at using. I'm going to run through the different exercises. Now the program format is very simple. It's 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, for 3 consecutive sets of each exercise, okay? Now there are little ascends as you progress in the program. We do 4 exercises with the clubs, then we go on and we have 3 exercises with a mace, and ideally you'll be using a steel mace, but I have got some lighter wooden maces as well. And then we finish with a traditional drill, the Zokale drill, with the clubs again. So we'll have a look at the exercises now. The first thing before we set, when you're doing these basic exercises, you want to soften your knees, gently tilt the pelvis a little towards the rib cage, so you're nice and strong through the midsection. Okay, you don't want to be rocking forward and backwards in these movements. So using these clubs, these are a pair of 4 kilo meals I had made a number of years ago. The first exercise, I've got my base, I'm set, my hands are down by my navel, and we alternate in chop. So we think 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001. So this is the first exercise, and you'll perform this for 40 seconds. It's basically 2 seconds per rep per hand, so we'll be looking for a total of 10 repetitions. Very straightforward, and like I say, you'll do that 40 on, 20 off for 3 sets. The second exercise, we combine a double chop, which is that motion, and then we go into a squat with the clubs. So here we go, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001, 1,001. So we're starting to work upper and lower together. When we squat, we simply just drop the club back towards our shoulder in this rest position. The third exercise, now this is where we start to really challenge our strength, and we start to focus more in on focusing on the shoulder rather than the grip. We're going to go block to circle and chop. So I come up and block with the club here, circle it round and chop over. I block, circle around and chop over. So the motion is like this. And we want that little pause in the block before we circle it through. And again, they're coming down to the navel. So that's the third exercise, again, 40 on, 20 off for 3 consecutive sets. Now the last exercise with the clubs before we move on to the mace are our Hinge To Squat. So I punch the clubs out, they come back and I hinge, I come up and squat. Okay, the important thing is I'm punching the clubs forward before I hinge. I hinge, the hands are coming down as they pass my hip. That's when I pull with these hip flexor muscles. And I'm pulling back into this position. My knees don't want to come forward. It's similar to an RDL or a kettlebell hinge. So at normal speed, a couple of reps, I'll punch, hinge, up, squat. Punch, hinge, up, squat. Sometimes you might want to hinge with the feet close together and then step out into your squat. That's another variation that some people find quite useful. So now moving on to the mace exercises. So with the mace, our starting position is here. Again, hands in line with the navel. Whenever we're using clubs or maces, we're always trying to engage the lats a little and draw the shoulder back rather than being here. This normally means we're contracting too much through the arms because the focus is on the grip rather than the body. So I'm here and we're going to paddle. So my left hand goes on top and I paddle over to the left, back up, down to center. I change hands and I paddle right, back to center. I paddle left, back to center. I paddle right, back to center. The key point with this is if you watch my shoulders have turned off and I'm upright, I'm not bending into it. So that's the first exercise with the mace. Alternating paddles, which is static, and again we do 3 sets, 40 on, 20 off. With the paddle, once you've got that, one ace end we use in the second and third set is we go into alternating lunges. So left hand on, as I paddle I step into my left lunge and back, and then I step into my right lunge and back. So from the side, I step into my left lunge, back up to center, step into my right lunge, back up to center. Once you've got the hang of the basic paddle, we work that in the second and third set for you. The second exercise with the mace is we grab, we pull, elbows in tight to the press position. We press up, down, back to center, and then squat with the mace. Pull to that press. It's quite often you'll see this happening, you want the elbows in tight. Press up, down, back to center, squat. So again, we're working upper and lower within that one exercise, and again, that's 3 sets, 40 on, 20 off. The last exercise with our mace, we're going to look for the 3 to 9 drill. So I shift my weight across onto my left leg as the ball of the mace shifts to the right, and I pause. 1, 2, and then back to center. Then I go the other way. So I'm shifting my weight onto the right leg, the mace ball goes to the left. 1, and again. Here, and back, here, and back. Now again, you've got to concentrate on pulling in. So if you were using this to apply for instance, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as the BJJ practitioners know, they're always looking at utilizing a withdrawal reflex within their training. And the higher grades should be able to use this effectively as an S&C tool. Once you've got that basic 3 to 9 drill, we come across and then we rotate around the back to the other side, then back to center. Then again, weight shift across to the opposite side and back to center. And that's that 3 to 9 drill with Halo. I want to build people with slower tempos, which often means lighter weight, which is why we start people just with these 5 kilo maces, or even lighter if they need to. The last drill, we come to the Zokane drill, okay? So, the basic drill, we keep the club slightly open, okay? Now you can, in some practices, they tend to grip with a little finger here, okay? If you want to do that, you can do that. When I was taught, it wasn't a consideration for us to worry about. So we're here, we shift our weight onto the left leg, and I'm going to drop the left club behind me as I shift onto my right. Right club as I shift onto my left. So I'm getting this motion. So I'm shifting my weight forward, and I'm always keeping this open position. The open position basically means I'm performing a constant isometric in this position on the external rotators of the shoulder. Now the second drill, so beginners may just do 3 sets of that first drill. The second drill, if you're ready for it, you start on the left and then you drop your weight back onto the left, back onto the right, back onto the left, back onto the right. Because this is, there's a lot of obviously martial arts aspects, because this is strength training for wrestlers primarily, or that's how it's developed. There's always this consideration of technique within the strength and conditioning elements of the exercise, okay? And any wrestler can easily spot the kind of ideas behind this. If you're just doing it for fitness, then it's nothing that you need to be concerned with, but ideally you'll have a basic understanding of what these principles are for. The third exercise is a little bit more complex. Again, I start on the left. This time I'm going to drop the left behind me as I swing the opposite through. So I'm demonstrating it quite slowly. So here to here. And then we use that little bit of momentum to get that exercise going nice and smoothly there. So those are the primary techniques we're using in the bootcamp kind of reboot. And over the remainder of the autumn season and the whole of the winter season, we're going to be focusing in on these. So now if the bootcamp is something that you want to do, it's the perfect time to start training in it. With the class, I also add in a run the gauntlet as a finisher, and more on that when we film the actual class so that you can see what I mean. It just drives the heart rate up a bit and lets you finish on a bit of a high. Okay, hope to see you in class soon.